Hello, everyone, and welcome to Super Switch Headz, the premier Nintendo podcast in all of the internet. My name is Matthew Stoner.
My name is David Howe.
My name is Patrick Nicely.
My name is Jordan Willis.
And boy, oh boy, you already heard it. Matt is the guest. We got Matt Stoner back on the show. How you doing, Matt?
Yay.
I'm great. I'm glad. I'm so glad to be here. We have so much to talk about. It's a topic that's near and dear to my heart. The main topic of today's episode is all about the future of Amiibo. Next year will be 10 years of Amiibo, and we want to kind of figure out what's Nintendo going to do with it, and kind of look at the past 10 years and see what the strategy is there. We also got tons of news, too. We got some new F-Zero 99 tracks. EA FIFA delisted almost all of their games. I think all of them. Jim Ryan is leaving PlayStation, and some layoffs happening over at Epic. So much more news. But before we get into that, how's everyone doing?
Pretty good, I gotta say. Matt, you're a sight for sore eyes. I've been having to stare at these ugly fucks every week.
Yeah, pour it on.
It's nice to have the cutie back on the show.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry, I didn't mean that, guys. I think you guys are all very handsome. But it's great to have you back. Thanks so much for joining us this week.
Yes, thank you for having me back and inviting me back.
Yeah, of course. My week has been very eventful over the weekend. It was a good time. Castlevania Nocturne came out this past week, and it's been a crazy whirlwind. We had an awesome in-person premiere on Thursday, and we're sitting at 100% on Rotten Tomatoes as far as the critics are concerned. I will say we are getting review bombed by what appears to be racist bots on Rotten Tomatoes. So any words of encouragement you can send the team is greatly appreciated at this time. It's one of those things where it's like the really annoying like cretin audience that kind of comes out. Like we dealt with this with Masters of the Universe too. Whenever that show came out, there was like a major like incel backlash like to the show, and I think there's people that generally just have issues with the show, which is fine. But it's like if I have to hear like Wokelvania one more time, I'm gonna blow my fucking brains out. Like it's so goddamn annoying. But I mean,
is that the term people are using?
Some people have been calling it Wokelvania. It's so funny how people are like, "Oh my god, the show is so present day and woke," when it's about like the French Revolution, and it's like, I guess it's woke to be anti-slavery now.
It's pretty dumb. I mean, in my humble opinion, people who use the word woke negatively, like I don't even know what they mean. Like it's the same. It doesn't make sense. Like
yeah, exactly. So I'm doing my best to just tune them all out, and a lot of people are really excited about the show. I'm really proud of the show. There's a lot of like love online for it as well. So thanks to everybody who's watched it so far, and we can't wait to show you guys more.
Nice. I don't really have a whole lot to report. I've just been working and then working on my game, and then I guess I did go see a concert. I got a free ticket to go see Wilco, or a pair of free tickets.
Whoa, that's cool. I didn't know they were playing.
Yeah, they played this past weekend, and I just was like Upgrade City. My brother bought these tickets, and then he got free tickets from work. And then when I got there, he gave me a free wristband for the VIP area. And then the like work people are like, put all your drinks on the tab. And they were like, actually, why don't you just take these tickets right next to your brother so you can sit right next to him? And we were like front row, like third row, pretty much. Like I've never been to a sit down concert that close before, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Not that I stood most of the time, but anyway, it's a great show. I'm old. Wilco's old. It was great.
Wilco's great. Yeah. It was like this weekend had a bunch of crazy concerts.
Oh, yeah.
It was like Wilco, Death Cab for Cutie, and
Postal Service. And I think they had
Postal Service.
They had like my brother had free tickets to that too, or something. It's crazy.
Yeah. And then I found out that A.V. Terror and Geologist from Animal Collective also did a show, and I missed it. I was so devastated.
Whoa.
I didn't realize, but man, crazy times in the live music capital of the world.
Yeah.
I'll go next. Yeah, things have been worse, but also better. Things seem to be like finally like evening out on this end. Just a couple. My partner's family had a rough couple weeks, so And then I went to San Antonio though, and I got to see my family and hang out. Went to the Botanical Gardens last weekend. That was great. Did a music video this past weekend before last. Anyway, sorry, it's been 2 weeks. Now I'm just like, what did I do in the past 2 weeks? Yeah, a lot of photography and just hanging out. So, things seem to be kind of like evening out on the up and down scale. So that's nice. Just kind of get back into the groove of things, and glad to be here again with Matt, talk about the Amiibos, dude.
Hell yeah.
And that beautiful mustache. Matt, how have you been?
Still got a mustache. Was still
most
there.
Important news first.
Yeah, most important news is when I make eye contact with other men who have mustaches, we kindly nod to each other. That's the mustache rule. I'm good. I went to 2 weddings over the weekend. They were very fun, totally different. One had caricatures, and we had to learn a choreographed dance. One of the grooms was a dance choreographer. It was fun, and it kind of changed my whole perspective of what weddings should be and what they celebrate. It was very eye-opening for me.
Cool.
And very inspirational for a wedding that I might have next year. If all things go to plan. I don't know.
Until COVID 2 comes out.
Yeah. I did. Speaking of, I did get COVID 3 weeks ago for the first time, and that fucked me up for a good week.
Yeah.
That was wild. Don't recommend it. But feeling much better now. And so overall, feeling good.
Awesome. Glad to hear. All right. So that was this past weekend. Tell us all the other weekends since you were last on the show.
Still got a mustache. That's still there.
Good
Toy
stuff.
tennis.
Toy boxing.
All right. Well,
Piano.
last week we did an episode about F-099 with Andre from Game Explain. So we got lots of great comments on the YouTube. I'm going to focus on that. Geek Piece Official said they've won 10 races so far, and the game has been the definition of addiction. Ficklick is up to 6 wins and a second place in Grand Prix, all with Golden Fox. Into Gray Bumper Hunting, we got Mr. Cheesy Toad, who said the best they can do is third. Hey, I'm there with you. Nico Nomicon has even won 2 Grand Prix. Wow. Maybe we need some tips from you. They try to keep as much boost as they can until the last lap, as the super boost is good enough to keep them in the pack. We got Eric said it's super cool to see us collaborate with Game Explain. Big milestone moment. Does feel that way. And I have no idea how to say this, but I'm going to give it a shot. Giltsme said subscribe. Thank you, Giltsme, for subscribing. And
yeah, thanks for all the new subscribers. It was a nice little influx of subs on the last episode. Much appreciated, everybody.
Yeah. And so we got so many comments over on YouTube. I thought we'd focus there. But of course, in addition, we have our Discord server where there's discussion about the podcast. So definitely join the Discord. And definitely, like David just said, if you haven't already subscribed, if you're one of the new people turned on from that, or you've just been hanging around, hop over to YouTube and hit like and subscribe for us. We appreciate it.
Yeah, and I've watched a couple of Andre's F-099 streams he's been doing since he came on the episode, and I've learned some other tips just from watching him play, including like a good way to get like friends to play with you while you're playing. It's a pretty, I think I noticed, I'm just going to share this one before we move on, is like it's got like a little countdown timer until like the next like Grand Prix starts or whenever the thing turns over. If you have everybody press A on a designated second on that countdown, there's a very high likelihood that you'll be in the room with whoever presses like on that second. It doesn't always work 100%, but I was like, damn, that's a tip and trick I wish I had known for our tips and tricks episode. But
that's fun. Next time you're streaming it, David, I'd like to try to race one with you.
Yeah, I'd love to do an F-099 day.
Well, with that, we'll talk about the news and rumors for the weekend. First up, of course, is F-099, because we can't get enough of it. And Nintendo has given us our first free update for F-099, which adds 5 additional tracks, which some of which are only in the Grand Prix and that sort of thing. But we basically have the Queen League, which is Mute City 2, Port Town 1, Red Canyon 1, White Land 2, and Deathwind 2 that were added to the game. How do we feel about this? Has everybody had a chance who likes F-Zero 99. Matt, are you even playing F-Zero 99? Have you tried it?
I haven't played it yet, no. But I loved last week's episode. I listened to the whole thing. I was like, man, this sounds like so much fun, but intense.
It is very fun.
It is also intense.
It stressed me out a little bit listening to the episode, but it sounds great.
I think you would like it. I think it's honestly a game that even if you're not into racing games, I think people have been digging just the competitive aspect of it. And it's like just the right amount of like chaotic to where if you lose, it's not like, oh, I'm horrible at this game. It's just like, well, that was fucking chaos.
And it's also short, right? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, one race, a couple minutes, like
it's like
2 minutes.
2.5 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, no, definitely try it out. I think I really like these courses a lot. I mean, Mute City 2 is just Mute City with a circle in it at one point. And I think it's orange. I mean, I like it a lot. It's great.
Yeah.
And
circle does a lot to like, if you know how to navigate a circle, you're going to do pretty well. But and then everyone else just like the first time I raced, I went bum, 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 bum. I was like, now I'm 79th or something.
Yep.
Yeah. But I like that one a lot. Port Town 1 is just like an easier version of Port Town 2. So anytime it comes up, I'm like really happy to race on that one. Red Canyon is dope. But that I did completely bail so hard on that like recently. I put a video of that up in the Discord. I was very distressing loss in the middle of a Grand Prix that I had. But yeah, I mean, all of these are great tracks. And I think that, they're all kind of like variations on a theme, right? And I think it's nice that still in the regular F-Zero 99, you're getting the original tracks too. So there's just more variety in that mode now, right? So I think, once they get all these tracks in from the original game, I think it's definitely would be great to continue to see them add more stuff from other games. But
we'll see.
it's all fantastic. I'm still enjoying this game a ton.
Me too. I was a little concerned. I mean, I was excited for new tracks to be added, but a little concerned because they are from here on out. I mean, there's maybe like Red Canyon. We hadn't had one, but from here on out, it's mostly variations on existing tracks. But I do think that actually isn't bad. Like in some ways, it's kind of like, I know the general layout. Now I just have to get used to the small changes and it feels different enough to be worth it. So I think it actually is okay. But I do hope if this game continues to do well, that they maybe give us something different.
I think the BS Grand Prix tracks, the Satella View tracks would be really, really great, right? Like, because then it's still SNES style, right? It's still like how it was in the original game, but we've got like, an extra 10 there. Some of those are variations as well, right?
Right.
But I think, there's a few that are completely brand new in that. So that would be at the very least, a great amount of tracks to have in their total.
Do you think we're going to get more tracks?
Oh, they're definitely going to give us the second update, which is the remaining tracks that are from the original game.
Yeah, the King Cup.
Yeah,
I'd say that if you forced me to make a bet, I would say they're not going to add more stuff. But I really hope they do.
I think they will, only because like we're going to get those next tracks probably in the next 2 weeks, I'd say.
Yeah, they said sometime in October, I think.
It's middle of October, yeah.
Middle of October. And then after that, they're just going to kill support for the game. I just I don't know. I don't see it. I feel like they'll add stuff and probably tracks because they know that's what everyone's going to want.
Yeah, I think it's pretty likely that this would be the last free update. But I think we're definitely going to be getting paid DLC at some point. And I think even if it's one of the paid DLCs is just more modes, which has been speculated and kind of data mined to some extent. I think they could have even more paid DLC, which are just track packs, right? But maybe you wouldn't want to splinter the user base.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's hard to say. We all thought they'd be adding like lost levels to Mario 35, and that never happened, right? So it's hard for me to like really bet on it.
Well, we'll move on then and talk about a Kickstarter, which isn't something we talk about very often, but this time around we thought we would. Genki has got a new Kickstarter for their Shadowcast 2, right? And their Covert Dock 2, which are, I think, what's the word here I'm looking for? Like highly praised third-party Switch accessories. Is that a fair statement?
Sure.
I know, David, you use them.
Yeah, I use both of these pretty much every day. The covert dock is great. It's just a little outlet, a little kind of adapter, right? But it's got a HDMI port, a USB-C, and a USB Type A port on it. And then it just goes right in, and you can use this as a dock for your Switch. I think the difference between the Covert Dock 2 and this one is that it's just higher power draw, so you can use it with higher power systems. Like, you could use it to dock your MacBook to a TV or a Steam Deck to a TV. You can do that with this as well, but it's not high enough power, so it's not always guaranteed to charge it while you're docking it. So for me, it was a no-brainer because I dock my Steam Deck using this dock all the time to stream. And so that seemed like a pretty good way to do that. I don't have to worry about power then. And then, the Shadowcast 2 is very similar to the Shadowcast 1. I also use that to stream as well. This one just can do 60 hertz output now. The one that I have only is 30. So even if I'm capturing footage at 60 frames per second, it's only outputting the stream at 30. So I'm excited to have smoother streams now, which will be nice. And then, both of these are just like pretty basic upgrades, but they're both like really, really good values for the price. I think getting this dock and the Shadowcast 2 is about what you would pay for like an Elgato capture card or something like that, right? And you're getting a lot of the same functionality. So there's a lot of really cool stuff in here, and I would really recommend it. We're not sponsored by them or anything. I just really like their products and would recommend this one.
But you would also take money for a sponsorship. So
yeah, I don't know why I backed
us.
it. We should just show them this episode and be like, send it for free. But anyway.
Yeah. Well,
we should do that. That's just an email away.
Yeah, I'll send them an email. Yep.
Well, we'll move on to a couple of weeks back. We talked about the possibility of this. The SAG-AFTRA, the Actors Guild, the union, was considering a strike related to video games, right? And like actors in video games. And they have voted for that to happen. And I guess there's been negotiations that have failed. So I don't pretend to know all the details of this. Maybe somebody here that, like Jordan or David, y'all are both a little more aware of this kind of stuff. Can you give us a big picture view of this?
I'm going to say David, because I haven't read about this particular strike.
Sure. Yeah. So basically, the SAG-AFTRA has authorized the strike now. There was a pretty overwhelming majority vote. I think it was like 98 point something % of voting SAG-AFTRA members have authorized the strike. That does not mean that the strike is currently going. That just means that they can strike at pretty much any time now. We talked a little bit a couple episodes ago about what this means and like what they wanted out of the video game companies here. There's actually a list that I had of the ones that are included. And let me read off that right now. They would be striking against Activision, Blindsight LLC, Disney Character Voices Inc., EA, Epic Games, Formosa Interactive, Insomniac Games, Take-Two Productions, VoiceWorks Productions, and WB Games. So that's kind of like the AMPTP, as it were, of like the video games industry, like, who is currently kind of at odds with SAG in the film space. This would be their equivalent in games. This isn't the first time that SAG has went on strike for video games. In 2016 into 2017, they were on strike for almost half a year because they were getting abysmal pay and weren't getting breaks, and there were zero residuals and no accreditation. I actually watched a whole video on this on John Campia's YouTube channel. He does movie news generally, but he did talk about the strike on video games, and one of the people on his show is a working video game voice actor and had a lot of good insight on that. So if you want to know more about this, I would recommend checking out that video over on his channel. But yeah, I mean, I think that this definitely should happen. Nobody wants to strike. You want negotiations to just work. I do know that on Tuesday, I think they met with leaders of these video game companies and no deal was reached. So it's like they're definitely trying to get there, but it's looking more and more likely that the strike could start pretty much any day now. So I wouldn't be surprised.
All right. Well, thank you. That was very helpful, actually, David, in understanding this. We'll move on to news related to Sony and PlayStation. And that is that Jim Ryan, who is the CEO of Sony Interactive Entertainment, effectively the PlayStation branch of Sony, is stepping down. Apparently, he's been at Sony for almost 30 years. And he's been in charge of PlayStation for several years. And, I think there were rumors about this happening, and now it is official that he's going to leave in March of next year. And I don't know, honestly, I've never felt super inspired by Jim Ryan as like when he gives presentations and stuff. But I don't really have strong opinions one way or the other, though I have heard some people on the internet being excited about this move. I don't know why. Does anybody is it just because he's kind of boring from a fan perspective, or is it because some of his decisions recently have upset Sony fans? I don't know.
I don't know. I've never really had too many feelings about Jim Ryan in particular. I mean, who's Microsoft's equivalent? Is that Phil Spencer?
Phil, yeah.
See, he seems chill. I'd have a beer with Phil Spencer. We go to Nintendo, you see Furukawa, sure. Iwata, definitely would have hung out with Iwata. Would I hang out with Jim Ryan? I don't know, man. Probably not. Unless he's buying, then
So your opinion on video game presidents is entirely vibe based.
Yeah, it's all whether you would have a beer with them.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Matt, do you have any thoughts about Jim Ryan?
I would have a beer. Yeah. I think the other personalities in this C-suite level of executives is he has a more subtle personality. It's it seems more business focused and less personality or charisma behind some of his when he's on stage.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if this is a big hit or if it will affect any of the direct style digital presentations at all. Yeah. I wonder who's going to replace this person and what that might look like.
Yeah.
Well, I know right now they've got Sony's chief operating officer Hiroki Totoki is taking over as interim CEO, but they haven't that was when we had that as well at Nintendo before Furukawa came in. Totally right. So this is probably a pretty recent decision. It sounds like he is just retiring in general. It's not like he's being ousted from the company or anything like that. He's not that old. I think he's only 55. He looks a lot older than he is. It's pretty young age to retire.
He's had a lot of beers with a lot of a lot of fans.
I will say I'm pretty happy to see him go. I don't like Jim Ryan very much. I think that it's clear why he's been around for so long and why he's like you said, he's a business guy. He's done incredible business for PlayStation. PS4 was an amazing era for PlayStation. PS5, they're doing incredibly well. But there's a lot of stuff that he's done that I really take issue with in the past 5 years, especially in this generation, such as the closing of Sony Japan, a lot of the Sony Japan studios. He kind of got rid of almost all of them. And Sony is now almost entirely Western game studio focused, right? On top of that, he's jacked up the price of the PlayStation 5 in multiple countries, including here. You can only really get the bundles that are $550 here instead of $500. And then on top of that too, they're PlayStation right now, and this is a topic I'd really like to talk about soon, is going really, really hard into the live service game arena. And I think that, they've got on the docket still yet to come out 8 or 9 live service games that they're all trying to launch within the next year. And that's 100% a Jim Ryan initiative, right? And so, yeah. So as
and a recipe for failure for at least 6 of those games. I think all of them, right?
Right. I think that that's a reason. That's not a decision that Phil Spencer would make, right? Because Phil Spencer is a gamer and Phil Spencer understands stuff. It's I think that Jim Ryan is much more this higher level business guy. A lot of the people that are chasing the money and chasing that Fortnite money, which we'll get to Fortnite here in a second, aren't seeing the trends that a lot of gamers are seeing, which is yo, you're oversaturating the market with these fucking live service games, And so it's either way, we're not going to see the ramifications of this for a long time. I'm sure over the next several years, a lot of the Jim Ryan led initiatives are going to be playing out at Sony, right? And And then, just kind of like we talked about in the Nintendo Eras episode, we're kind of only just starting to see like what Furukawa's Nintendo looks like, right? So time will tell what it's going to turn out to be, but I'm happy to see some new blood at Sony, and hopefully they can get somebody who's a little bit more gamer focused like they have over at Xbox.
All right. Well, this is a big non-Nintendo news week, by the way, we should say, but we'll move on to some EA news, which is that finally the EA Sports FC 24 game is out, which is the successor to the FIFA games. I don't know, this is kind of a bummer, but all the FIFA games are going to be delisted, if maybe already are, I think, right? On pretty much every platform. I think they're taking them down. I think 23 is still available in some ways, but not generally even. So I guess this isn't very surprising when you think about it, but this isn't something, whenever the news broke about them losing the FIFA license, that I thought about. I don't know if y'all put the pieces together on this, but so I don't know that people who play these games are seeking out old versions anyway. I don't know. It's an interesting situation. Does anybody have any thoughts or feelings about all these FIFA games just kind of disappearing?
I think it's for like DLC packages on some of these older games. Unless you like have it downloaded, or if you purchased it, then you can re-download. I do wonder if people are actually playing these old games or have a desire to play these old games. Like for me, I like Ted Lasso. If I didn't buy FIFA 2023, I want to be able to play as the Ted Lasso team.
Yeah,
that I can't think of right now. I like that TV show.
Big fan.
Yeah, big fan. Yeah, I can't remember everything.
No, I can't. I love that show too, and I can't think of the name now.
I think the only thing I find really weird is that there's no like business or marketing decision to like push sales before they delist it. I don't know if that's part of like some agreement that you can't try to like get a bunch of sales right at the end and then delist them. But there's no like marketing or
last chance
push. Last chance to get this version of this game that you'll never be able to get ever again, except for physical on in gray markets. That's the only weird thing to me.
Some people do that. I mean, like, a lot of times you'll see like there was like a Humble sale or something with one of the Warhammer 40K games that was just getting delisted. That was like, you can get the game and all its DLC for like $1 or something, a lot of people will do that. But those are more like good faith actions. I feel like EA is not like that kind of, I think like EA is probably over the moon excited that all the old games, no one can even purchase them on sale anymore. It's like only the new games you have to get at full price,
and they aren't paying FIFA.
And they aren't paying FIFA anymore. Exactly. Yeah. So I think they're
That's
probably
what it is.
They're probably pretty excited about it. And if I know EA, and I don't know them personally, but I hate them. So yeah.
For what it's worth, and this is purely anecdotal, I did hear the game's okay. The new one. I don't know.
Yeah.
Did
they reskin FIFA 2023 and then
for
put
Switch?
It out for Switch? Did they just reskin
so.
FIFA 2023 but then call it a different game?
Yeah, I don't know about the Switch version for sure.
Anyway.
It's EA Sports FIFA 23 Nintendo Switch Legacy Edition. They call it Legacy Edition because I think it's still FIFA 2019, but with that 2023 roster.
That's rough, man.
Yeah.
I'm curious why they couldn't come to a deal with FIFA, but I'm guessing FIFA just wanted too much money. I'm sure someone else will buy this FIFA license at some point, and there's going to be like a competing market again.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We're going to see FIFA 2K.
Yeah.
Ooh.
They'd be the ones to be able to afford
Yeah, dude,
it.
they would be the ones. And that would...
That'd be kind of hot, actually.
Yeah.
I think I'd be down for some
go
sports drama again after NFL went to EA exclusively, right?
Yeah, I would have a beer with 2K, but I would not have a beer with EA.
Oh man. All right. Well, we should move on to Epic. Massive company Epic has laid off. There were this came out, and again, rumors and sort of like Jason Schreier over at Bloomberg broke this before it officially happened. But Epic has laid off a ton of people from its company, apparently about 16% of its entire workforce, and they have put out like an official statement about it. And it sounds like they're even trying to kind of like get rid of, shed, like
divest,
yeah,
sell,
some of their acquisitions that aren't maybe working for them. This is unfortunately a trend we've seen where these companies have expanded and then now are retracting.
Yeah, and that even includes Bandcamp, which is crazy.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of a bummer for all the people, or it's a major bummer for all the people that work there. Because it kind of sounds like it was like a Friday afternoon meeting, you're fired kind of thing. And then even some people like thought they were okay. And they're like, oh no, you were supposed to be fired.
Yeah. I heard about someone who it was a couple, a married couple who both worked at Epic. One of them found out they were fired on Friday, and then over the weekend, the other partner in the marriage got a call being like, "Oh, sorry, you were also supposed to be let go," and so they both lost their jobs on that day, but didn't know it until the weekend. So that was just one of the stories I heard. And also, you said it was 16%. That sounds awfully small. This is 850 employees, approximately. That lost.
Well, I think about Epic as being a really big company, so 16% sounded like a lot to me. But maybe not everybody's aware of like
just to put a human
of Epic.
number on it. Yeah, that's several busloads of people all being fired. This is pretty awful stuff. I mean, I think that a lot of this comes down to
them spending money like crazy and throwing money at things like.
Yes. I think it's also just like we need to come to terms with the fact, again, that the live service bubble is bursting. You know what I mean? Or it's slowly deflating, or however you want to talk about it. But it's like Fortnite was making $3 billion in profit or whatever, like in 2020, and that's gone down multiple magnitudes versus where it was, right? So it's like, you can't just... And I mean, Epic has Epic Game Store, right? But
they've been throwing money to try to get it to be a platform of choice, like at developers
because they could afford it because they were making so much money with Fortnite, right? So it's like I think that they're realizing like, oh, this forever game isn't quite as forever as we thought. And
yes,
we need to start getting smart again, and it's just very, really sad to see. And I hate this trend.
I'd like to talk about Fortnite for just a minute because I think it's interesting. I think about my nephews because I have two nephews who were about 10 to 12 because they're not the same age when Fortnite came out, and they were massive Fortnite fans, and they're now like 17, 8, you know what I mean? Like 16, 17. And I think that was a major audience that is kind of growing out of Fortnite. And I don't know 100% how much they play now. I don't think they do, but like, I think that's just kind of obviously anecdotal, but I think the live service game forever can't target tweens. You know what I mean? Like,
sure.
Because they're going to grow out of your game. And I think that's what, or maybe not, maybe it can, I don't know. Maybe there's, but it's just like nothing lasts forever.
When's the last time any of you guys played Fortnite?
2017.
Season 2 of the original. I don't know, something like that, like way back. Yeah.
I think maybe one time when we had a Super Switch Headz party and we were like, download Fortnite, let's try it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like 3 years ago.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, obviously it's still a very popular game, but it's just like, sorry to just keep quoting other YouTube videos, but it's like Alana Pierce had a great video about this that she put out, which is just like about, Alana Pierce works for Santa Monica Studio, which is a Sony studio, right? The games industry you could still be making enough to support all your employees. They need profits to go up every year. If you're making the same amount every year, they start letting people go because they need to be making more. The investors need to see that they're making more profit than the previous year. It's just this horrible addiction that capitalism has just instilled into every U.S. corporation.
Nothing can grow forever, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Just why we're seeing all of these union efforts kind of forming in response.
Exactly. So This is just horrible news.
Well, the only way that Epic can solve this is by selling per install to all of their developers.
My fucking God.
Well, ironically, you say that, but I've also heard people point to this and be like, this is why you should go open source with, or like, with whatever engine you're interested in, because
sure,
Epic's not immune from, bad business decisions either. Like, so.
Yeah.
Well, we should move on to this is our last bit of news, right? Far Cry 7 is rumored to be launching on the next Nintendo console, which I guess everybody's just calling the Switch 2 now, what happened to Super Switch?
I don't love it. I don't love it.
I mean, we would all love to call it the Super Switch, right? I mean, should we just start calling it that?
We should. I'm tired of Switch 2.
I'll take.
You're
Switch
changing
2.
it in our notes. That's great.
Yeah. There you go. But yeah, I mean, there's a big leak recently out of like Far Cry circles, just about what Far Cry 7 is going to be. Far Cry 6 was the most recent game. It's supposed to be coming at some point in not even maybe next year, maybe 2025. A lot of like details about the game have leaked. And one of those things that also leaked was the platforms that it would be coming to. And it's meant to day one be launching on Series X, PS5, PC, and Super Switch. All at the same time. And that's just kind of the internal rumblings, but it's just kind of a bit of a, and there's been a lot of other rumblings within the industry too, that it's like, you're going to start to see a lot more modern cross-platform games launching day and date on the new Nintendo console, with the big boys, right? Which is kind of what we've been hearing from a lot of the Gamescom leaks and stuff about the strength of the system. So that's just a little bit of information there that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, and it's I think David, maybe you added this notes if I'm wrong, somebody else, but there's apparently been some speculation that a new job listing that Nintendo has posted suggests the possible Super Switch launch window as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's just look, in the summer months, Nintendo is hiring interns, or they put up job postings for like a lot of job openings for retail marketing and strategy interns around, it's like between June and August, basically. So a lot of people are thinking that is kind of like when we'll start to see a big marketing push for the Super Switch. See, I'm calling
We're doing it.
Because we're the heads of it. And as soon as it's revealed, our SEO is going to shoot way up and we'll get tons new listeners. No, I don't know. I don't give a shit. But yeah. So anyway,
hear that, Genki? We're coming for you. We want your stuff for free.
But yeah, I think, and to be clear, this isn't saying that Far Cry 7 is going to be a launch title for the Super Switch.
Gotcha.
But that it will be launching. No, you said it correct. But it's like will be launching on that day and date. So yeah, I think probably around summer next year we should start to hear some things, hopefully.
All right, well, that does it for our news then for this week. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to be talking all about Amiibo and the future. Speaking of the Super Switch, what's the role of Amiibo going to be on the Super Switch? We'll discuss that after this short break. All right, we are back, and this week we are talking all about Amiibo. The long-time listener might note that we did an episode about Amiibos like 4.5 years, almost 4.5 years ago. But in light of...
So it's a little early to be doing another one. We apologize.
Yeah. Felt like we could do it. With the announcement of the final Smash Ultimate Amiibo, with the 10-year anniversary of Amiibos, like Matt mentioned, with a new Nintendo system coming on the horizon, we thought this would be a good time to talk about what place does Amiibo have in the future of Nintendo? Are they going to be, on, is there going to be an NFC card reader on the next system, or is this the end of Amiibo, or are they just going to kind of plug along at the same pace? Are they going to come back? I don't know. So we're going to dig into all of that. I'm sure we'll revisit some of the discussion we had 4.5 years ago, but I think it's interesting to note that that's almost half of the lifespan of Amiibo, right? Like,
Yeah.
So, has a lot changed in 4.5 years for Amiibo since we last talked about it? I don't know, maybe a little bit, but I think it kind of continues to be an underutilized, but probably still successful thing. It has some of the same problems, which we'll go over. I don't know. I wish Amiibo did more, but I can see the problem with having them do more, right? Like, so
Yeah. I think maybe if there's a good place to start, this like what Amiibo? It's a
what is an Amiibo?
a Toys to Life is like just a fad or a trend that always kind of comes and goes. I think we see like loot boxes were really popular like a decade ago. We have gotcha games. We have live service games. There are trends and fads in industries. And sometimes they are physical goods, sometimes digital goods. Toys to Life, which was like really, really big in the 2010s and really popularized by Activision's Skylanders in like 2011. And like Amiibo came out 3 years after Skylanders. And so they, Activision and Skylanders were already making, $1, $2, $3 billion off of this Toys to Life product line, this whole new medium. And Amiibo, I think, is one of only 3 existing Toys to Life lines of businesses.
Yeah, and it's certainly the only one that's still around, right? I think it's interesting that Amiibo came so long after the fad had already hit its stride, and it's still the only one that is still even somewhat viable. And I think that is just obviously a testament to the power of Nintendo and IP and
IP big time.
And the, how, at this point, I mean, like, does anyone buy Amiibo for its Toys to Life game functionality? Like, I really don't think so. I know I buy them because I've got a shelf where all my Amiibo sit, and I like it when there's a lot of Amiibo on shelf.
There aren't lots of official Nintendo toys, right? I mean, there are kind of a lot of Mario toys now, but that's even maybe 3 or 4 years ago that there weren't quite as many as there are now. But like, I think it now is just it's a glorified toy. But I think that's what's weird about Amiibo is that if Nintendo could arguably make like articulated figures and sell them for more and maybe make more money. Maybe, I don't know. Like maybe they can. It just seems like it's such a weird halfway thing between, I think, what people want in both realms, right?
Yeah, it's a toy in as much as it's something that does sit on your shelf, like a Funko Pop or something that you kind of put on there to remind yourself that you like this thing, that your Samus or your Link.
I think it's also interesting, like Amiibo does tie into Nintendo's history as a toy maker.
Yeah.
And so I feel like that is the only reason why they kind of keep it still alive. That, and then, runs still sell out. So they're like, they're not overextending. They're making sure it's still profitable by, making a smaller amount, selling them all still. But it's just like, they've always had little toys. I mean, they were a toy maker longer than they've been in the video game industry. So you could argue it's just a return to form.
Yeah. I also think it's like they have one factory making Amiibo. I think it's like, I think that it's not a huge investment. They have these limited runs and they only really make one at a time. That's why it's taken until now to get every single Smash Amiibo out, right? And like, the DLC for Smash ended years ago at this point, right? I think it's just a slow rollout because they only are really printing one at a time. Then they ship them out, and it's kind of this. It reminds me almost of like the Game & Watches that they made. It was like they put out a bunch of those all in a batch, and then they haven't made them since. And I think they probably expected those to sell a little better or to sell out like Amiibos do, right? And that wasn't really the case on those, but that's not what we're talking about on this episode. But at this point, probably the demand is about evened out as well. As the whole Toys to Life fad has died, now it's Amiibo has become a bit more of a niche product. Who's going to be going out and buying every Xenoblade Chronicles 3 Amiibo, right? Like that's already not a huge audience for that game. I mean, those games like sell well, but it's like take how many copies of that game sold, and then a smaller percentage of those would actually be interested in buying Amiibo, and then a small percentage of that will actually get them, right? So it's like they really don't have to put that much money into them, and I think that's why they're not making bigger articulated figures or anything like that. Plus, they want to keep the form factor that they had ever since the beginning, right? Because they still are NFC chips.
Maybe they're stuck with this Amiibo thing because it's like some games let any Amiibo scan, right? So the idea of changing this is problematic too, right? Like we can't move away from Amiibo and make different kinds of figures or different kinds of NFC chips because they won't then give you the free item or something. Like it just feels like they're in a weird limbo-y place to me. Matthew, you were going to say something else, so maybe you have a different point to take us on. But
yeah, I think like Nintendo, if we have Nintendo with their Amiibo, their Toys to Life products, and we have a few others that are kind of existing in this segment of toys. We have Light Seekers, which is RuneScape, and we have a Beyblade Burst, which is also Toys to Life have toys that have NFC kind of tech. But Nintendo being like the big corporation, the big media company, make TV shows and movies, and it kind of outlasted all of these other companies. Ubisoft did it with Starlink. Starlink had some Toys to Life capability.
I have one
there.
of those.
Yeah, they were like $5 at Best Buy at some point.
Yeah, sits on a shelf. Yeah.
Jordan, I see you raising your hand there. Yeah, and like Disney was also part of this segment too. From 2013 to 2016, Disney has tons of incredible intellectual property. You could have your like Mike Wazowski and like Obi-Wan kind of fighting and battling in this like infinite world. There was so much real potential, and Disney was doing a lot more from a capability standpoint and like using your toy in the game more than what Nintendo is doing or more than what Nintendo has ever did. So it is interesting that Amiibo has seemingly come out the winner in this segment and outlasted all of the other ones when, from my perspective, it is more of a collectible than a Toys to Life like what the segment was really all about.
Do you think that's why it won? Because they didn't make like an Amiibo game that then people stopped playing and nobody cared about them anymore? Like it's because it was a very conservative entry into the segment. Yeah, it was like it has the functionality. It's Patrick, as you said, is very limited. Maybe costumes, maybe some items, heart tanks, energy tanks. That's generally about it from a NFC capability.
We've talked about it, but I think I'm really stuck on it of like it being the catch-22 that people want the Amiibo to do more, but then also I've heard lots of people complain when an Amiibo does do something that it's like paid DLC on some physical toy, and I don't want to have to go out and buy a limited, hard-to-find physical toy for the DLC. So like I think about I think it was like Skyward Sword, which had some stuff, and I feel like that one in particular people were real critical of. I can't remember what it was.
It like let you save anywhere, right?
Yeah, it was some sort of...
I think it was you could jump to the sky from anywhere.
Okay, yeah.
Sorry,
I think it's both of those, right? Because you could then easily save, or that. So people were like, it's almost like an accessibility function locked into a toy, but I think that's like the point of these was to have something that they can do, but then anytime they do something, it's kind of then people are critical of that too. So,
well, I think the thing that they were made for was kind of Smash, I mean, I think it was like the idea was in the opening video of Melee, there's two figures that come down on the thing and then they come to life, right? And so when Toys to Life was happening, they're like, oh, okay, well, we can do this for the Smash fighters, right? And then they'll be like the Smash, the figure players or whatever, right?
Because that's always been like Smash, right? Like the back to 64, it was like you're playing with toys and making
like trophies. Yeah, exactly, right? And I mean, like trophies have always been a thing. So I think it's like that was their excuse to get into Toys to Life, right? And then it ended up being really popular, and a lot of people were buying them and not using them for Smash. And they're like, "Oh shit! Well, let's start doing this for all the other games, right?" And I think, I think you are right, Matt, in that it's I think if there was like an amiibo game where you could have a little town and all your amiibos came to life, yeah, it sounds fun. But I mean, like, I don't think they could be bothered to come up with a compelling enough game to like make that a thing. You know what I mean? Like, there was like Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival, and there have been like some things like that have varying degrees of amiibo functionality. I think there was like a Wii U downloadable game that was a little bit more amiibo centric. But at the end of the day, this all feels very Iwata era Nintendo, right? And it's like they kind of gave it a go, and now they're doing it as this like legacy thing. Now that like Sora is coming out, the kind of end of the Smash line of amiibo, like it does kind of feel like it's a bit of an end of an era, right? I think we've got the Tears of the Kingdom amiibos coming out, and we have those Xenoblade ones that have yet to come out as well. But I don't know. I'm interested if we'll be getting that many more from here.
I think that's a great question. I think Sora is not even dated. It's just dated for 2024. And that's just wild because we talked about this, right? Like, I think you have this on here, Matt. Thank you for this. Sora's DLC came out in October of 2021.
Mm-hmm.
So we're talking about a 2.5+ year. That's kind of a big gap.
Yeah. If you were a tween when that came out,
you're giving up on Fortnite now. Like, I guess because they are limited and because people like them and because it's hard to find Nintendo figures, they usually sell out. But I think in any other world, putting out a figure for something that came out 2 or 3 years after is just bad business. It's like, that just doesn't make a lot of sense.
This tells me that the decision to make an amiibo figure about something is probably one of the last decisions that's made, or like it's one of the last things that's part of the conversation from a like a manufacturing point of view. Like if you release your game, then amiibo is like an afterthought.
Yeah.
Because it's not like synergistically aligned with the 2021 release of Sora. Or even in the same year, or in like the calendar year.
Right.
And that just feeds
It could be 2.5 years later.
It feeds into them not being useful in the game too, right? If they come out years after you've beaten the game and have moved on, like, what's the point of adding functionality for the game then?
And with Sora in particular, and a lot of these DLC fighters, it's like, you got to know the license holders for these characters are getting a cut of every amiibo sold as well, right? So it's also a contractual obligation that they have where it's like, it's like, oh, fuck. Well, we said we do every character in Smash. I guess we got to bite the bullet and put this thing out, but we're not going to make it happen fast, motherfuckers, and have it be limited quantities because we don't want to, spend that much where we're not going to be making that much return because so much of it's going to Disney or Squaresoft or whoever owns the right to Sora, right? So, that's interesting. Something I think that we probably talked about in the previous episode, but again, this was 4.5 years ago, so fuck it, is like, I find it fascinating that Pokemon never made the amiibo jump. What different world would we be in if Amiibo had launched
1,000 of them? You could,
yeah, exactly. If Amiibo had launched like 3 years earlier at the height of Skylanders craze, and all on the Disney Infinity craze and all that, with Pokemon, starting with the original 150, going through generations, having it to where if you buy the Pokemon, you get the Pokemon in your game. Like, I think we'd be in a very different world right now, to be honest, if they had gone through with that. We'd have many more than one
service.
Yeah. Yeah. I just find it fascinating that never happened.
Yeah. I mean, like, there's also precedent for it, kind of, with like the Poke Walker and stuff like that. Like, the Pokemon is tied to that amiibo, so as it trains in the game, you can like just take that amiibo with you and battle your friend on their game without having to bring your whole console. Maybe, I don't know. The possibilities and number of possible amiibos is endless.
Yeah,
but also I think that's the other reason why they didn't get into Pokemon, is because there is too much potential that they probably couldn't logistically figure out how to print that many amiibos.
Yeah. I bet if Pokemon amiibos had come out, Trump would have never become
president. Butterfly effect.
I agree.
Oh man, now I really wish they had.
No, we're honestly probably better off that never happened. I think we'd have a lot of like broke people that have to buy like all 1,000 Pokemon.
Yeah, Amiibo is collectible toy first, digital functionality second.
Totally.
Will you all agree with that?
Yeah, at this point, yeah.
Yeah, the thing that I mainly use amiibos for, and this is a thing that I think most people don't even realize you can do with amiibos, is I hold my Mii on amiibos. Like my Mii, I have a plush Yoshi Mii amiibo that holds my Mii, and so like if I'm ever going to a friend's house and I want to play as Mii in Mario Kart or have my Mii on their system, I could just hold it up to their Switch and they have my Mii on their system, right? I don't think. Did you guys even know amiibos could do that?
I feel like
I only knew because you.
Yeah. So it's like,
you could use it in that way.
Yeah. Each amiibo can hold one Mii on it. It can store one Mii that you create, right? So I don't know if we're ready to move on to this, but we have on the show notes on like what the future holds and will amiibos continue. And I think that not that anybody's using it for that functionality, but I do kind of think that whether or not amiibo will be on the next Nintendo console is kind of, I think, intrinsically tied to whether or not Mii's will be on.
It's in the name, Amiibo. Yeah,
exactly. Mm-hmm. Right. We all kind of think that the next Nintendo console is going to be backwards compatible, right? But does that mean it's going to have an IR camera? Does that mean it's going to have NFC functionality? Does that mean it's going to have a Mii Maker? Like, are they willing to strip some functionality away from some of the games that are playable on the new system in order to make a cleaner cut between generations? I guess that's kind of like where my head's at when I wonder, like, is Amiibo going to be compatible with a future console?
I think that if we get new Amiibo announcements before March of 2024, then it's a likelihood that we're going to see NFC tech in the Super Switch.
The only Amiibo announcement I can see happening by that time is maybe a Showtime, what's it called? Princess Peach Showtime.
Yeah.
But even that, I'm not sure. Like that, I don't know that that's a good fit. Like, I mean,
you don't want a figurine of Peach wearing pants?
No, I do. I think that makes a lot of sense, but I don't think it makes Nintendo sense. Like, I don't know, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know that that's the because it isn't kids buying these, it's collectors buying them. And not that they wouldn't still sell. And because they do it late, I don't know. It's just their market. I don't understand their decision making enough to speculate, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if the new console has some sort of NFC technology already built into it, because they've always been kind of like collectible toy-based thing, and that seems like the easiest solution for them, whether they keep doing amiibos or not. I mean, I'm thinking back to like the Game Boy Advance card reader and how like a weird bespoke thing that was, and now the cards are collectible and stuff like that. And Amiibo reminds me a lot of that. So I feel like they've always kind of had their toe in that realm as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if the new console, the Super Switch, has NFC technology. Though if they do Amiibo, I don't know. It is just like a nice little piece of collectible, though.
Yeah, this is going back a little bit. I think like Skylanders and like Amiibo was so big because of like retail space when people were still like buying physical things. You see these big kiosks of Skylanders that take up an entire corner of your Toys R Us and your Targets, and Amiibo too. Amiibo had like its own display and like its own row dedicated to these toys, where I don't know if there's a centralized toy store at the scale of Toys R Us when this segment of Toys to Life was really popular.
That's a really great point, Matt. And you're right. I mean, like, not that I even go to retail stores that often anymore, but when I do find myself in a Target or something and I go to the electronics section, you see like one or two Amiibos kind of alongside all the random tchotchke third-party controllers they've got like over in the Nintendo section, right? There isn't like a standee for them anymore. It's not, and just nobody's going to big retail stores anymore, right? It's like, that's such a great point.
But guys, Toys R Us is coming back. So
it's already back in the huge mall, American Dream. I think it's in New Jersey or something.
Well,
let you know.
Let's go.
I'm on that mall rap sheet.
Yeah. He's a mall soft guy.
I like, whether or not I want Amiibo to continue, I do think there's a good chance that Sora kind of marks the end. There's part of me that thinks that they'll just keep doing it because why not? Right? People are buying them. I don't know how hard it is for them to like how much money they spend and how much money they make. But I could see them giving up because I could see it being not a huge margin. It just being like, well, it's kind of our chance to cut it off here. I don't know. What do y'all think? Do you think if you had to make a bet or, like force you to say yes or no, Amiibo are going to move on to Super Switch or not? What do you think?
We've gotten Smash Amiibos. We got Xenoblade Chronicles Amiibos. We have had Splatoon Amiibos.
And the Zelda ones?
Zelda. We didn't get Advance Wars. We didn't get Kirby. No ARMS Amiibos. Sorry.
Yeah.
ARMS, folks. Any other franchise that Amiibos skipped?
In terms of like big ones?
Yeah.
I mean, kind of surprising that there hasn't been a ton of Fire Emblem ones, I guess, like for Three Houses there were some maybe, but mostly Smash.
Outside
ones.
of Smash, yeah.
I feel like Smash kind of gives every other franchise one or two, but you don't see a ton beyond it.
Yep. Did Pikmin 4 have any Amiibo?
No.
Okay.
So it's mostly like the franchises that are like more for folks that do collect things, like the JRPG folks for Xenoblade Chronicles and Smash, because there's some historical context there, and maybe like Splatoon. I think Splatoon seems like the right fit for Amiibo.
I mean, I buy all the Splatoon Amiibos. I really enjoy them. I just like, but again, I just like having them,
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no other figures. There's no other, which I think
Right.
again, like, we've got Olimar Amiibo because this is one of the few licensed Pikmin things that you can get in the West. That's a toy-ish thing, for
As far as like continuing into the future, I really, like I was saying earlier for the Super Switch, I bet it will have some sort of NFC capability and with the backwards compatibility, just to have that, not have to take that out of all those games or just suddenly be dead. But I don't see them really making a ton of new Amiibo after Sora either. I really think that might mark the end of an era and be a nice clean cut, but I do think they might try something else with NFC technology. I don't know what that would be though.
I think Nintendo, you have 10 years of data to collect on toys and like what sells and what franchises sell in this category. I think if we don't get Amiibo, we're going to get something with equivalent tech. Maybe this is what you're alluding to, Jordan.
Yeah, I don't know, guys. I think we're done. I think that Sora is going to mark the end of Amiibo. Personally, I think it's a perfect ending point. Kind of started with Smash, is going to end with Smash. Maybe they'll do another Smash and bring it back or whatever. But I can't see it happening. To me, it feels like an Iwata era idea, and we're pretty much out of Iwata's ideas at this point. Right. And I think that it's been a great run, but I don't see the need to put that tech inside. If they're trying to cut costs and the system's going to be more expensive anyway, if they're talking about shipping this next fucking console with an LCD screen to cut costs because everything else is so expensive, you really think they're going to put an NFC reader chip in the console? Like all these third-party controllers don't add NFC readers into their third-party Switch controllers. They'll add gyro, they'll add rumble, they'll add all this other stuff. They almost all don't have NFC in them because it's just not worth it, right? I can't see Nintendo doing it either. I was looking up a list here. I found something online of it's a CPSIA certificates of compliance on Nintendo's website, and it's actually a list of every physical item that Nintendo makes and the factories that they make them at, right? And I'm looking it up, and there is just this one. I mean, it's one city in Guangdong, China, where they pretty much print all of the Amiibos and where all of these have been made, right? So I think the question is like, is it worth them saving the money to either close down this factory or use this factory to make something else? Because it seems like this is pretty much what they do there, right? Like at this like factory that Nintendo owns in China. So it's like, I can't
clearly they don't want to expand it, right? Like clearly over the last several years, they haven't been like, we need to make a second factory or whatever.
Exactly. And it's like, and they have other stuff that's that they make. They make like the Pokeball accessories and like the Pokeball Plus. They had it was an American factory where they made all the Labo stuff, right? And they've got and all the different kind of things that they make. And obviously they have many factories where they're actually printing Switch cartridges, right? But it's like I just can't see them continuing to eat the cost of this. This feels like it's a legacy thing at this point, and they're seeing it through out of like obligations to the player base. But man, I just wouldn't be surprised to see it go. And I mean, that's a little sad, but it's also like, I mean, you've got a great point on here, Matt, and I don't want to step on it for you, but it's like they've got other things that they can focus their time and money on, right?
Yeah, I think just my endless desire to get rid of like physical things. I'm always trying to like stop buying more things, even though I love retail therapy. It makes me feel great. Like there's so many things to collect or buy. I would love to see those funds get pushed over to other parts of Nintendo to make the services better, make some of the UI experience a little bit better. More games for N64 games on Nintendo Switch Online, things like that.
Yeah. I think you're right on the money there. And I think that's kind of, I think what a lot of what we were referring to in that, again, to just keep referencing that Nintendo Eras episode we did, it's like, that's kind of what I think Furukawa is all about, I think is trying to modernize Nintendo a little bit, trying to bring them up to speed with the rest of the industry. And I think you don't see fucking Xbox making figurines that you scan into a Xbox Series X, they're focusing on making a stable servers and good online experiences and making things that are like and cloud infrastructure and shit that is actually forward moving, where Amiibo feels like it's very much in the past. I think that focusing on these services, spending the money where it matters, bringing things up to speed in the digital front, I think is so much more important for Nintendo. And I think that's what Furukawa is all about, if all the rumors about the Switch 2 are anything to be believed.
I wonder too, and I don't know, this
Super Switch, sorry.
This might not be a thing, but like if we talked about how the Amiibos kind of come late and their functionality is limited, I wonder if developers of games at Nintendo are like, please don't make us come up with a reason for there to be an Amiibo. Because they're stuck because it can't be too good and it can't be nothing. And they're like, I guess it'll just drop some items, because that's become the default, because I wonder if there is some pushback to be like, this is dumb. Make a figure or make an in-game content, but don't, you're putting us in a weird position here, because maybe there's a bit of that logistical hurdle that is intangible in a way of like, we have to sit here and wrestle with this idea, not just make a toy,
with the Japanese fiscal year beginning in April, I think if there were a time for us to get any more Amiibo announcements, it would be between now and April. Anything after that, I don't think we would hear anything. Mm-hmm. Even if we were to hear something, whether it be whatever it would be, it would have to be between now and April.
Yeah, I'm looking forward in 10 years to the inevitable Scott the Woz episode on Amiibos, how crazy it was and a weird time in Nintendo's history and all that kind of shit. Like, I'm sure that's coming.
It's crazy that we're talking about this, because this is like a segment of retail that's like 12 years old, and these kind of retail segments for like toys, like they don't last this long. I'm reminded of different fads that are also part of the American culture, like axe throwing. I remember it was really big like 5 or 6 years ago. And like now it's like putt-putt golf seems to be the next fad.
Hopefully pickleball is waning and putt-putt golf is coming up.
Yeah. But this is like such a, from the retail perspective, from a toy store perspective, this is such an old segment that Nintendo is still successful in, despite like limited capability of the actual product.
So say they stop making Amiibo, what kind of equivalent, either in a toy segment or a functionality segment, what would you want to see instead?
I think maybe if we get any augmented reality capabilities, that might be interesting. If the Super Switch has a camera on it, that could be fun capabilities with like Advance Wars. I would love to see an AR Advance Wars and like on like a table. Something along those lines where you would still have an amiibo-like figure that would maybe have like a QR code or whatever kind of code exists in the AR world.
That's a good call. Yeah.
But AR seems the most realistic, like jump.
Yeah. And then you don't need the tech in there if you've got the camera. I mean, I guess the camera is also expensive, but it's like, I'm still on the we're gonna get a headset train for the Switch 2. That's my pie in the sky. I think it's gonna happen. I don't think it's gonna come in the box, but I think a headset that you can dock your Switch into, sits in front of your face, seems inevitable to me. And I think that makes a ton of sense, especially with Apple doing their thing. I think Nintendo's the one to make it work. Have some AR functionality like that. I think it's a no-brainer. Everybody can laugh at me when the Super Switch comes out. And that's not a thing. But I'm telling you, I think it's going to be a thing. I think they're the ones to do it.
I got nothing. I don't know what I would. I don't know that they need to replace it with anything.
Yeah.
The only thing I would like to see is maybe higher end like collectible figurines of some sort. Because I mean, you go into like a Walgreens or a CVS and you like look in the toy section, and you see these like really sad, almost knockoff looking Nintendo toys. I'm like, why isn't there like a nice brand making good Nintendo toys? I mean, you got Legos making the Mario Legos, but I don't like Lego is a good quality company, but I personally don't like the aesthetic of the Mario in those. I like the aesthetic of some of the other stuff, but and then I think, is it Mega Bloks that does Pokemon? Another not Lego company does the Pokemon toys, and it's just nothing of it like screams like true to the game, high quality figurine, which is a whole market in and of itself. So that's personally what I would like to see them move into if they're going to move away from Amiibo.
You see some stuff like that. I think Nintendo does make high quality figurines and a lot of toys and stuff like that, but you see it in Nintendo stores, and there's only like one in the US,
or it's Japan only, right?
Or it's in Japan only. Yeah. Like the Pokemon store, the Nintendo store,
the new Bulborb little wind-up toy only in Japan. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. You got those. I'm sure the Nintendo Museum that they've talked about is going to have a gift shop that'll act as kind of another Nintendo store where you'll have stuff like that. Nintendo, the theme park, there's a lot of toys that you can buy exclusively at the theme park. So I think, but again, I don't think Nintendo is looking at like when's the last time you saw a Disney store? You remember those? Those used to be in every mall, right? Like, I don't even know if those still exist, right? I don't think Nintendo's going to be doing that. And they just don't seem that interested in putting things into normal retail environments because, as we've already discussed, retail is dying or dead. So having destination retail environments like this is probably where we're going to see them pushing their real life merchandise going forward.
Well, I think we should wrap this up. Is there anything else anybody wants to squeeze in while we're talking about the future of Amiibo?
Hell of a run. I like them. It sounds like I don't want them. I mean, I kind of want them to die. But it's not me saying I want them to die. It doesn't mean that I don't like them. I just think that their time has come.
Yeah,
personally,
it's like an old Yeller situation.
Exactly. Yeah,
put it down,
Amiibo is an old dog. Ain't no new tricks coming out of that tech.
Oh boy! All right. Well, I think that's it then. We're putting down the Amiibo, literally. And with that, we're gonna take another short break, and when we come back, we'll be talking about the games that we've been playing recently. Okay, so my cousin Vincent, who I talk about sometimes, came over and we played a bunch of Smash. I got him to try F-Zero 99, which he has Nintendo Switch Online. He just is Smash focused. So he's like, He played one race and he's like, let's play Smash. I think he liked it, but it was like that was not why he came over. We played a bunch of Smash. We like to play online co-op versus randoms, which is a fun thing to do for us. And then other than that, really, I think the only thing that I have been playing is F-Zero 99. I haven't had a lot of time to play lots of games. I've been working on my own game, and other than that, when I need a break, I fire up F-Zero 99. Been enjoying the new tracks. I still have yet to win one. I don't know. I've come in the top 10 a few times. Like today I was playing and I came in really close. I got like a 7th place with some last minute shenanigans. It's like, man, I think I'm close, but it's just going to be random. If I just keep playing, maybe I'll win. I don't know. Mm-hmm. I'm not that great at the game though, and I'll own it. Like I have still yet to finish a Grand Prix. So,
oh, you still haven't finished one?
I haven't even finished a Grand Prix, but I haven't played that many either. I just kind of play the 99 mode mostly.
How many tickets do you have?
I got a lot of tickets. I got like 50 tickets.
Whoa, dog. Send me some of those. I'm always just like playing enough to get into the Grand Prix. And then the Grand Prix is like what it's all about.
I agree. It is fun. I think I've been using it as a pick up and play game, and it's a little harder to play a Grand Prix. And then also,
it's like a 30-minute kind of thing.
I feel like I'm not good enough yet. Like I rank out on like the 4th one, or you know what I mean? Like, and I'm like, well, that's not fun. That feels really unsatisfying.
Well, now that you have 50 tickets, you can actually like
spam
practice.
Them.
Yeah. Yeah. Like don't worry about burn like, 20 tickets, just like getting good at Grand Prix. You know what I mean? Because it really is.
It is fun. I like it. I just want
it's the most like Tetris 99-ish part of the game, right? It's like actually doing the marathon to get to where you need to be. Yeah. It feels good.
Yeah. But that's what I've been playing mostly.
Yeah.
I'll go next. I have also been playing F-Zero 99. The bug finally caught me. And I'm loving it, man. I have finished one Grand Prix. I have not won a race. I think the highest in a race I've gotten is like top 10, but not top 5. So I think I've gotten like 6th place before, but I did finish one Grand Prix, and it was really funny. In the last race, I got 16th because 4 other racers crashed. So you know what? Doesn't matter if you win by an inch or a mile. Winning is winning. I was not 20th, but I did qualify in the 4th race at 20th. So, but that's been really fun to play. I really like the new stages. I haven't gotten to, I think it's Deathwind 2 yet. The last race in the Queen's Cup Grand Prix.
It's actually Whiteland 2 is the
Whiteland
last.
2 is the last one.
Yeah, it goes Mute City 2, Port Town 1, then it's Red Canyon, then Whiteland 1, then Whiteland 2. Deathwind 2 is only available in Pro tracks right now.
Oh,
yeah. But it will be in King Cup. Yeah,
that's why I haven't played it then.
Yeah.
Anyway, but other than that, I finally finished Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney, the first game. I beat the 5th case in there, and shout out to the huge 27. Thanks, Jay, for letting me know how long it was going to be, because I didn't start it because I was like, okay, I want to commit to like finishing this in a week. And it was long, but it was like a really satisfying conclusion to the game. Excited to jump into more of those because I got all of them whenever the 3DS eShop was going down. I just bought the fire sale of all the Ace Attorney games. I'm debating getting Ghost Trick and playing that next, but we'll see how I feel. Since I already have the Ace Attorney games, I might as well just go with that. But and then lastly, I started Sea of Stars. Thank you, David, for your copy.
No problem.
And so I started that for the JRPG Club. Figured it was about time to get on that horse. Once I finished Bloodstained, I was like, okay, now we can move on. So about 5 or 6 hours into that, I don't want to say any spoilers. I mean, I've gotten to the first major like power up that you get, and going from there. So I'm really enjoying that so far. I just love it's like Chrono Trigger style battles and then Golden Sun style world exploration. I'm like, that's a perfect marriage for me. So I'm really enjoying it so far. Excited to keep going. But yeah, other than that, Apex, but I don't not that much anymore because F-Zero 99 kind of filled that slot for the past week or two. So
let's
anyway.
go. A far better approach to live service games is what Nintendo's doing with their freebies, but that's a topic for another show. Thanks for reminding me I gotta pick up Sea of Stars again. I bought that game, I played like a few hours of it, and then I dropped it because a million games I wanted to play came out, and I just haven't picked it back up, man. And now it's like I'm staring down the barrel of like Mario Wonder and Sonic Superstars and all this shit coming out this month, and it's just like, man, I really hope I pick that game back up again because it is very good. But yeah, I've been also playing a lot of my same bullshit. Logi Art Grimoire, I'm still playing a ton of pretty much every time I poop and before I go to bed at night. I'm playing Logi Art Grimoire on my Steam Deck. I saw a tweet recently about the flip grip. You guys remember the flip grip? It was like a little dock thing that you can slide Joy-Cons into, and then you could basically have your Switch be in Tate mode, like kind of vertically. It holds it like that. So it's 4 games that have Tate mode in it. I saw a tweet recently about somebody being like, they say you can't use this with the OLED, but it works just fine. And I was like, holy shit, I never tried to use mine with my OLED. I just assumed it wouldn't work because somebody told me it wouldn't work with it. It works great, man. And I put it in, and I've been playing some vertical games. So one of those is Murtop. It's kind of like a Donut Dodo-esque it's like a new retro arcade game, right? It's kind of like a mix of Dig Dug and Bomberman, and that's a game that you can play in Tate mode. So games like that are really fun to play with the flip grip. So I've been playing some of that. I've been playing some Downwell again since I got my flip grip back out. Again, if you don't know what Downwell is, it's a fucking classic. It was a phone game originally, so it's built to be vertical. It fills almost the entire Switch screen in Tate mode. And man, on the OLED, that game is gorgeous because it's mostly black with white and red are the only other 2 colors, but the whole backgrounds are all black. So on the OLED, it looks really, really nice, especially when it's filling the entire vertical screen in handheld. So I've been playing a lot more of Downwell now that I'm realizing that, and I'm probably going to be picking up a lot of my pinball games that I bought and stuff on Switch because those all work really well in vertical mode as well. So I'm excited to start playing with my flip grip again. So I've been doing some of that. And then the 2 games other than that I've been playing this past week. One I streamed just last night, actually. It just came out. It's called Cocoon. This is a game that is, it's a top-down kind of puzzle game, kind of art house puzzle game from one of the creators of Limbo and Inside. And this game is fantastic. It's really, really awesome. It's super...
Can't wait to play it.
Yeah, it's on Game Pass. That's where I've been playing it. So if you have that, definitely worth picking up. I think it probably looks and runs great on Switch too. It's got kind of a minimalist, almost low poly aesthetic, but it's really beautiful. But yeah, I've been playing on my Xbox and it's awesome. It's, it's kind of in a new dimension now. It's not a side scroller, and it's this very feels like Limbo or Inside in that it's no dialogue. The narrative you kind of are figuring out as you go, but it's very obtuse. And it's all just about it's got this mechanic where you have these orbs that have worlds inside them, and you can pick up the orbs and use them as items, or you can set them down and jump within them, right? So you kind of unlock these different biomes as you go. It's a really beautiful game. The music is incredible. The vibes are immaculate. So I've been really enjoying that. That's on the Switch. I would really recommend everybody check that out, especially if you liked Limbo and Inside and want a game by that creator that has some more color in it. This is not a black and white game like all those other ones. And then lastly, I want to bring up Kirby and the Amazing Mirror. It was the NSO, most recent NSO drop for Game Boy Advance expansion pack on NSO. And I played this online. This is like a 4-player co-op game. And I played this online with Summer and Kyle. We were going to have DCD join, but I think he had a baby emergency. But this game is wild and wacky, dude. It's so weird. It's one of the weirdest co-op games I've ever played. You're all playing on your own Game Boy, essentially, right? So it's it's not like other co-op games where you're all like on the screen at the same time. Like it's a big open like Metroidvania world where you can go in any direction and go to any of the worlds from the hub world, and you don't have to all be in the same area. You could just be each individually doing different parts of the game at the same time. So it's like incredibly easy to get lost in this game. It's really easy to lose where your friends are. If you go in a different door, you'll just be completely separated. But they have this like cell phone mechanic in the game where you can call your friends and then they'll warp to you. But you can only do that for as much battery as you have for your cell phone. And then it's also like when you die, if somebody has enough lives, they can like give you one of their lives. It's like this really bizarre like game to play, and it's crazy playing it online. It's like a super great way to play it, to be honest. And we had to like really communicate a lot. We had to like really look at the map and like figure stuff out, figure where we're going. It's definitely one of the weirdest Kirby games, but it's an awesome addition to Nintendo Switch Online, and a really fun game to play online. It's really cool that they dropped it. And I'd only ever played this game solo before, and I never finished it. And you know, now whenever we finish that session, we're only like 15% of the way through the game. We played for like an hour or something, or maybe an hour and a half. We're like, cool, we're not going to touch this until we all play it together again, because it's just going to be fun to explore this world together. But yeah, so we're still looking for a fourth on that, by the way. If anybody wants to join in, you can just jump into the game, and it's super fun. So, but that's what I've been playing. Matt, what about you? What have you been playing this past week?
Do the Kirby's all share a cell phone plan? Like how does that work?
Yeah, I think they're grandfathered into a family plan. Yeah.
Okay, that sounds good.
Yeah.
But they're all the same Kirby.
They're different colors. Yeah,
they're different colors. Okay.
Yeah.
Kirby's a god. I don't want to try to understand it.
Yeah.
I have. Exactly. I've been only playing a few games lately. I've been doing some other things. So with Ahsoka being back on television, I am back on my Star Wars shit, and I decided to pick up Jedi Survivor and really enjoying it. It is great. It is very fun and silly, and it's just a really great like game, and really easy to pick up and not too difficult either. So I kind of played through Jedi Survivor, kind of beat it last week. Just really enjoyed my time with it, and I really hope the character Cal Kestis from Jedi what's the other game? Jedi Survivor.
Fallen Order?
Fallen Order. I hope that character exists in the Star Wars canon at some point. I know the little robot does. But that would be really great. Ahsoka's also, I'm just really enjoying Ahsoka right now.
No, is it good? I never watched Rebels, so I feel like I would be lost on that show.
Neither did I, but I spent hours watching Rebels recaps on YouTube.
Okay, yeah. Maybe if I'm ready to make the plunge, I'll do it.
Yeah. There's a great like an hour and a half recap of Rebels and all of that to kind of connect all the characters. It is interesting to see where Star Wars is going and kind of what they're pursuing and their other interpretations of the Force. Mm-hmm. The other thing I started this week was Final Fantasy 16. I'm about 3 hours in, and I really struggled for the first hour of this game. It is beautiful and it's very cinematic. My understanding is like it takes a little while to get past the interactive movie part to the RPG part, I had to really push myself to like get past a couple of hours because it just felt really uninspired, especially after coming from Jedi Survivor, which was so exploratory and very like three-dimensional. You can jump on things, you can climb, you can double jump, and it felt much more like a video game, where Final Fantasy 16 felt more like a movie. And it was a really weird shift to me. And then I saw the big kaiju fights, and I was like, okay, this is fucking tight. So I'm playing just really enjoying that with some struggles at the beginning, but now I kind of bought into the story and feel good about it. That's what I've been playing.
Nice. Well, then, there we go. That does it for this episode. Thank you so much, Matthew, for coming back and gracing us.
Thank you for letting me
presence.
talk about amiibos and retail segments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know we want to have you back whenever you want, Matt.
Yes, absolutely. Open invitation.
So thank you to Matthew, obviously, and thank you to milkyway.co for doing our website. Thanks to Corduroy for doing our music. If you're looking for me, Patrick, online, I am most places as PDYX.
You can find me on Instagram Instagram at Borden, Bredan, or just hit me up on the Discord.
Pretty much everywhere on the internet at Monolith Fiji. And what about you, Matt? Where can people find you online?
Mostly Discord. Do people say Twitter now anymore? I don't know.
I say Twitter.
Okay.
I'm not going to call it X.
Yeah, never. You can also find me there on Twitter at Matthew, Mathyu.
There you go. That's where you can find Matt. If you'd like to find our show on social media, we are at Switch Headz on Twitter, at Super Switch Headz on Instagram and Facebook. We got a website, switchheads.com. And then, like we've mentioned, we've got our Discord and Facebook group. Please join us on the Discord. That's a great hub to communicate and to hang with a bunch of like-minded folks. And you can talk about the show that you just listened to if you agree or disagree with anything. Another great place to do that is the YouTube comments. So if you would please go to our YouTube, give us a subscribe over there, and leave some comments there so we can get that algorithm helping us out. Getting on the train, the Game Explained done put us on, getting some more subs here. We'd love to see you over there. But that's going to do it for this episode on Amiibo. Thanks again, Matt. So great seeing you. You're the most beautiful man I've ever seen in my life. We're going to be back next week with a great episode coming out. So until then, don't change that dial, but you guys know the drill. You guys stay safe out there. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to one another. Also, I want to say real quick, I listened to episode 1 of our show the other day in preparation for you coming on to this episode, Matt, just from a bit of nostalgia. And man, what a great time. We were so fresh-faced. We had no idea what the future had in store for us. But I mean, I think it was a nice trip down memory lane, and it's nice having you on today as well. So I'm excited by that, and I just wanted to share that. But anyway, that's gonna do it. Fuck it. We love you guys. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.